No, they can't take that away from me.
Yeah.
The way your smile just be.
Good morning.
The way you sing up key. Baby, the way you haunt my dreams.
Homeless is a feeling when you're homeless, and I don't feel homeless at all. I feel very, very much at home, and especially when I come back to Totnes.
We may never meet again.
Good morning.
Yep.
Short period or long stay?
Just short. I've always done charity work.
Oh, good.
But when I was in Totnes, it just seemed a one-way street. People were supporting me in buying the big issue.
It's 150, sir, if that's okay.
And I just felt
change.
a bit awkward about that, really. And so I decided to actually give something back. And it makes it a much more organic experience, really. So the community supports me in buying the issue, and I support the community in doing some fundraising for that community.
Nice to see you, mate.
In cash and gifts, it's over £60,000 now. So that's which I'm well chuffed with. But I don't consider that I've raised it, really.
Should have some change now.
It's more a channel for other people's compassion. So I'm just a collector of stuff. People look at me as sort of a brick wall they can talk to, really. A brick wall they can listen. But I'm no threat to them in any way. I'm just a big issue guy. I've had guys come up telling me they've been disloyal to their wives and felt guilty about it. And so I get some real heavy conversations going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in them.
Yeah.
I'm sick of all these hippies as well, to be honest with you.
But very rewarding on some occasion. Very rewarding. A customer of mine gave me this van and said I could use it and buy it and pay it off on a weekly basis. So I have a 3-year mortgage, short-term mortgage, £50 a week. So I'm doing really well. I'm actually in equity at the moment. I started off many years ago on a park bench in Bristol and various underground car parks, building sites. Then once I got to Totnes, a customer gave me an old car. So I took the back seats out, and that was my home for a couple of years. And slowly, then it was an escort van, a transit van, and slowly I progressed up the property ladder. And now I have this wonderful home. It's a wonderful experience to be in this van now. It took me some time getting used to this domesticity of it all, washing up and cooking and making cups of tea and and cleaning my curtains and doing stuff like that, and I'm actually loving it now in here. I just love the comfort it gives me, my own space, my own bed, and I've got space to do my writing, and it's a wonderful experience to be in this van now. If I do anything, I do it quite intensely. So when I was drinking very intensely. So I'm an addictive personality, and so I think anybody out there who's got addictive personality, whether it be drink, drugs, or whatever it is, a negative addiction, it's actually possible to take that addiction and replace it with a positive addiction. So my positive addiction now is writing, and I just set off and started writing a novel. It's a crime novel, and it's based on my experiences and all the characters, or an amalgamation of all the characters I've met along the way, really. I was really heavy into drink in Bristol for a couple of years, and I just woke up one morning and thought, what the hell am I doing? And it's a really almost a sort of like, I saw the light, if you like, and it was from that moment onwards I was determined that I was going to do something about my life, and that necessitated getting out of Bristol, really, and going south to Plymouth. It's quite poignant coming back and seeing it, and seeing the remnants of other people living that way of life that I used to live those years ago. There'd be maybe 10 or 12 of us get down here every evening, which gave us some sort of security, but as I say, it's quite poignant coming back and seeing how I used to live. The benches have changed. The benches were quite receptive, really. They were long wooden benches, which wood is quite nice to sleep on because it retains its heat. Now they're just small, cold steel. But in someone's kit bag, someone's blankets, ready for the bed when they come back this evening. I'm so far removed from this place now, I suppose that's why it saddens me so much, really, to think that people still live like this. Very sad. And here it is, what used to be our oasis in the middle of Plymouth city centre, the Sherry Tree. We used to congregate here most afternoons, 10 or 12 of us, drinking copious amounts of sherry after a hard day's work. And the Sherry Tree became known as that because if we had more sherry than we can handle, we would leave half bottles under the tree for others less fortunate or more fortunate. In fact, once we had a home delivery. We all went around Iceland and clubbed in to get 14, 15 bottles of sherry and had the delivery man deliver it to our social club here on this wall by the Sherry Tree. But very sad place to be as well, a very poignant place because of all those that didn't quite make it. Fortunately, I got it before that happened to me, but it does sadden me again to be here. It was a childhood of nothingness, really. You know, I mean, it was just mayhem and just bleak and black. And this is it. My father was a rag and bone man who was violent, a drunk, very aggressive. My mother, she just succumbed to all his wishes, basically. Was quite happy, not happy, but she went along with it, really. But she was very weak. And I don't believe that she ever said she loved me. I never once sat on her knee with a bedtime story. It was just nothing. It was just nothing there whatsoever. No emotion whatsoever. And that doorstep, I would sit many a night on that doorstep waiting for my mother to come home, sometimes up to 12 o'clock midnight as a 7 and 8 year old, where me and my brother would fight and he would hurt me and I would sort of sit out on the doorstep crying and trying to eke out my tears until my mother came so she could see the extent of what the trauma I was going through. But unfortunately it was very late when she usually arrived home, so she never got to witness that, really. These two photographs are the only photographs of me as a child. I don't look at them as me, almost, especially this one worries me slightly, or saddens me slightly. When I look at the sort of, I don't know, it's a young kid who just looks lost, really. And
why?
I don't know why. I mean, it just seems so deep, so I don't know, deep in. I don't know. It just seems a face full of turmoil or something. I don't know. Sorry. The sins of the fathers were delivered on the children, and I had sins delivered on me, and those sins potentially were to be delivered on my own children. So in retrospect, when I walked away, I was taking those sins with me. If it was a decision, it was the best decision I ever made. It was when mine and my children's life started to blossom. So my children were able to grow up in an environment without me handing them all my crap, basically. And so I have two together children. Whatever it costs, I swear I'll just pay for the college fees.
I mean, I'm quite proud of what he's done. I mean, from where he's been and the things he's done, obviously, for how he's worked for charity and stuff like that. And I mean, from the position he was in, I mean, like you've seen other people like that and how they've just sort of gone down and down. But I think he's really picked himself up and he's sort of done some really good. So I'm obviously quite proud of him.
I'm gonna have to. Don't get too wet. Cheers, Anne. When I'm in a town and I become quite recognised, I wouldn't say famous, but quite well known, it almost becomes claustrophobic in as much as that you never stop being the big issue man. You always, even in my time off, if I'm going to the pub for drinks with friends or going out for a meal or walking up the street, I am always the big issue man. So that's where it's the big issue.
And so it does become slightly claustrophobic in the end, and I have to then move on to another town where I can regain my anonymity. Really. Whether I'd be happier, maybe not. You know, I can't. Happiness and contentment for me are two different things. I'm content, which is a much more long-standing emotion. Happiness just comes and goes. Contentment stays with you a little bit longer. So I'm very content.